right? So first, we will see different use cases where this RPA, we can use this RPA solutions, and we will see the benefits of RPA. I mean, pretty much similar to what we have discussed in the previous demos. Okay, so these are just the simple use cases which we can, which we can relate to our day-to-day work. So whatever a human can do by interacting with the applications or processes, the same thing can be achieved by the bot is nothing but the process or the automation that you are going to design is called as bot. So the simple use case to make you understand is to talk about calculators. So I mean, we all use calculators, right? So what we have been doing is, initially we have very small arithmetic calculations which we were able to calculate easily, manually. But then we are in necessity of doing complex tasks, and then there is an invention of calculators. But even, sorry, I should start sharing my screen. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I hope you're all able to see my screen now. Right. So
okay, thank you.
With the invention of the calculator, we were able to do the complex task easily. But then the thing is,
are you going to share these slides with us?
yes, because UiPath, there are a lot of activities inside UiPath. Okay, so this definitely requires the slides for you to understand each and every activity that we are going to use. So I will definitely share the slides with you. Everyday recording will be shared to you, and also the process we are automating, even that will be shared. Okay.
So basically, I don't have to worry about taking notes and writing it down. It's better to focus on what you're saying, right? Because we get all these slides, yeah?
Yes, you don't have to take any notes, and whenever there is a necessity of notes, what I'll do generally is I myself will prepare a text note and I will send it to you. You don't have to worry at all about taking the notes. I would rather suggest you to concentrate on what I'm explaining rather than busily taking the notes which may deviate you. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so if you have questions, you can use the chat window, and I will take your questions at specific checkpoints. And after my explanation, I will give time, and we can discuss more on your queries. Okay? Yeah. So even when we have the complex tasks, yes, we are using calculators fine to ease our work. But then we are still feeding the numbers in the calculator manually even today, right? So the same thing now can be achieved by the bot. This is a very simple use case. I thought it will help you to understand in a much better way if I put it with this example. My intent here is to tell you is that wherever there is a necessity of the human resource to do a particular job, the same thing can be achieved by using the bot. You can automate that process. Okay, it is as simple as that. And the another use case could be data entry job. So where there will be a lot of people who will get the data repeatedly in different formats, right? The format could be a text message, it could be a PDF file or an Excel, right? From different sources they will get the data. And then what we have to do is and the data entry job is to put them entire data or to consolidate the data and put it in an Excel file. So this becomes easy with this solution. So we have some defined activities inside the RPA tools wherein this task can be done easily rather than spending a lot of time on isolating the data and putting it in different formats. You can easily achieve it by using the bot, and it does the repetitive work, right? You just have to instruct it once and it will do the task for you again and again. Okay, because it is a repetitive task, and now bot knows because you are instructing it to do in a certain manner, and now it follows your instructions and does what you have automated in a particular way. Okay, so I have just given the example here, premium provider insurance company. So they will have multiple, any company you take, banking or delivery partners of any products, everything, they will have multiple invoices every day or order processes, right? So that is where again this comes in picture. You can automate those areas where there is a repetitive task. Okay, and another good example could be your banking sector, right? So the easiest use case what we can take is loan applications, right? So in order to get any kind of loan from any bank, there are different kinds of loans: home loans, personal loans, vehicle loans. There are so many, right? But there is some minimum criteria that you have to meet in order to move your application to a certain level, right? So your the first check is CIBIL score, and they will see if you have valid identification proofs and all. This is the routine check that they do for each and every customer that applies for the loan. So this is kind of repetitive task. The only change here is the name of the person or the database, the details it gets from. But apart from that, the routine process of checking the database and seeing if is eligible or not, it's everything is going to be same. So here, this is one area where you can think of automating because it is repetitive and it follows the same steps for different customers, right? So these are the use cases where you can implement the RPA solutions. So to make it precise and simple, wherever you can interact with the application and wherever you have the repetitive task to get data from multiple resources, you can utilize these RPA solutions to automate them. Okay, so I think I have a question before going further. Yeah. So does RPA eventually eliminate the workforce? Eliminate, yeah. So yes, it eliminates a little bit of workforce. I mean, where there is a repetitive work, right? So it eliminates that kind of workforce, and it can, but the thing what you have to understand here is these bots, whatever you are designing, are not intelligent enough. Okay, they cannot take intelligent decisions. They just work based on the instructions that we have set, right? We are the ones who is instructing the bot. See, the bot is not a human to make decisions or to look at any application and then decide what it should do or where it should click. It is us who should make the bot understand to identify the elements or how it should take decision, right? So as humans, it cannot take any decisions. So what, rather than using the human resources in kind of repetitive jobs, rather we can utilize the good human resources because we are very intelligent enough. So we can rather concentrate our work on something even more productive, which brings in good knowledge into the team. Okay, so there are a lot of other things which we can take care, right? These are monotonous repetitive jobs which really doesn't require a lot of human efforts, right? So rather we can put them into a very effective use where human intelligence is needed. Okay, so we have to consider it that way. Yes, definitely it will reduce the human workforce, and you can use the same human workforce in making some intelligent decisions where the work is involved kind of intelligence decisions. Okay, so hope Vinay, it answers your question.
Yes, yes. So basically, what we are saying is, if I understand this properly,
yeah,
we are only using this for a repetitive process, and it
yes,
cannot, obviously it cannot take any decisions on its own. So probably the best way to pitch this is, it does eliminate the workforce to do the repetitive task, but it doesn't eliminate the workforce for the company by itself. It is a
right,
supplement to the human beings, right? Because if
yes,
Vinay comes into office and every day he has to do the data validation using the same 10 spreadsheets for 1 hour, now it is done by a robot, wherein Vinay can use that time to work on something else, which is more productive.
yeah, which is more
Okay,
productive and
thank you.
which requires human intelligence. Yes, bot is not an intelligent one, right? So it just
Wonderful.
works
Okay.
based on our instructions. That is one important key point we have to understand. And now many people ask this question, and they are some. I mean, this is the common question. Okay, what happened to our jobs? I mean, what are we going to do in case if everything is done by the bot? It's not. everything is not going to done by the bot. Only repetitive tasks, the monotonous, boring, repetitive task will be done by the bot. Okay, and the companies are going to be more productive. They are coming to think on the new lines to make themselves effective and to bring in the solution where the human intelligence is needed, right? So that is how it is
Got it.
going to help. Yeah,
Okay.
so let's
Thank
also
you.
understand, yeah, so let us understand the benefits of RPA. So RPA, the first point is RPA systems mimic the human behavior with no change to the existing infrastructure, right? So what this means is that it just mimics the human behavior. Say, for example, if we are interacting with any application, take for example your Gmail or Facebook, you just navigate to the browser, then you will log into the Facebook or your Gmail account, then you will send emails, or you can do a lot of stuff, like you can like the comments, you can post the pictures, or you can post the status, you can do a lot of things. Okay, so what this RPA tools does is they does the same thing. It will just mimic the human user. It is us who should train the bot to understand where it should go, where it should do a click, where how it should identify an element, right? So because it is not intelligent enough to identify, it cannot see your screen and make decisions. It is you who should train your bot so that it knows where it should go and where it should enter the username or where it should enter the password. So basically they are all called as elements. Okay, the text box, the drop downs, or any such elements which are on your web application they are called as elements. Okay, basically they are termed as elements. So to identify those elements, there are different activities and there are different identification tools that you will use to make the bot understand where that particular element is located. Okay, so that's how it will navigate to that element, and it will click on that, or it will write on that, it will write in the text box, like however you instruct that, it will be done, right? And the another key point we have to understand here is it does not integrate with the underlying application. Okay, it doesn't integrate. Say for example, if we have internet connectivity, we will interact with any kind of application, right? We just don't see what is the underlying code, or we don't use any integration techniques to interact with any kind of application. We just have internet, we will navigate to those applications, we will do the stuff what we want, and then we will log out. That's what we are doing. Even the bot does the same thing. They will not get integrated with your application. So to put it in a simple way, wherever you can reach, if you have an internet, if you can reach any kind of web application or SAP or Oracle applications, if you are able to reach it, your bot can also be able to do that without any integrations. It doesn't have to get integrated with the application. It just works on top of the user interface. Okay, like how we are interacting with it. It is just going to be similar. So obviously, the way you automate it and you deploy the solutions is going to be faster compared to traditional automation languages like Python, Java, or Selenium. Okay. So it is obviously, even in RPA solution, there is a cost involved. But when you compare to the return on investments and the time you can save if you implement these solutions, it is definitely going to be less cost than what you implement it on using traditional automations. Okay, the deployment is going to be faster, and repetitive task is going to be done faster for you, right? And it doesn't require so much of human workforce, right? So obviously it results in cost reduction. I mean, you have to buy the licenses though, but it depends the agreement between the company and the tool vendor on what kind of licenses they need and how many years it is valid for. Okay, so that is the only one investment that you have to do when you are using these solutions, right? They all based on licenses here. So we have been talking a lot about bot and other things. So what basically are bots? Bots are nothing but the programs or the processes that we develop using this tool. They are called as bots. Okay, so bots will automate the routine task and eliminate the inefficiency. That means inefficiency in the sense, I would not say humans are inefficient in automating any kind of task. They are very much efficient. It is generally we who is going to train this bot, but there will be sometimes human errors when we are doing any task manually. By mistake we may type or wrong digit, right? In say for example financial transactions or any Excel data, we may go wrong, but the bot, if you instruct it once, it does the same thing. So you can reduce the human errors, and it will run the repetitive task, the routine task again and again, because we have a scheduler option. Okay, you can schedule the jobs. Once you develop the bot, you can schedule it to run multiple times. Okay, so you can set how often you want to run it and at what time you want to run it, and it will be triggered automatically. And there are two types of bots. Okay, so we have front office robots and back office robots. So front office robots are also called as attended bots, and back office robots are also called as unattended bot, right? So attended bot is like, once you automate the process. Okay, so it will be on your local workstation, and it needs a human to trigger or to schedule them. It is attended, means it needs a human intervention to start the automated bot. Okay, and in case of unattended bots, you will deploy them on virtual machines and you will schedule them, so they will automatically run by themselves depending on the scheduled time. Okay, it doesn't require any human intervention, so that is called as unattended bots. But then one point you have to consider it is whether it is an attended or unattended bot, you have to schedule it. Okay, attended bot may run even without scheduler. Right from your local station you can run it, but unattended bot also has to be scheduled. It requires a minimal human intervention of scheduling the job. So once you schedule it, you don't have to be in front of your system, or you don't want to trigger the run, so it will automatically run at the scheduled time. Okay, so these are the two types of bots that we have. So actually, we should understand how the automations are developed using RPA. Okay, so this is also important, because the main steps that are involved to create the solution end to end. Okay, so in RPA, let it be any tool. These are not specific to any tools. This is the common knowledge that you should have when you think about RPA tools. Okay, so try to have a holistic view about RPA. And don't try to think about the differences. It is too early now. So first we will understand about the technology itself, and then we will move into the tool. Okay, so how are automations developed using RPA? So as like anything, like I mean, even though you automate it using C language or Java, you will follow a structured way, right? Only then you will have the perfect flow of automating the task. So even using this RPA, we will follow a structured stage-wise development approach. Okay, and when we are saying, we are calling it as developing the process, mainly because in generally, if you are automating anything, you are called as an automation engineer, or if you are testing something with the automated test cases, you are called as an automation test engineer. But here the role is developer, because we are developing the process. Okay, so it is actually a developer role. Okay, so before automating anything, it should follow some structured stage-wise development approach. Okay, so we will see what are the different stages that are involved while automating the while developing the bots. Okay, so it typically contains, the development methodology contains 4 different stages. Yes, I think I have a question. Slide, what are the 3 different categories? Oh, okay, sorry. I think it is typo. It is actually 2. We have 2 bots, right? 2 different categories of bots: front office and back office robots. That's a typo. I was about to say there are 2 different types of bots which does 2 types of work. which is attended automation and unattended automation.
I think it says there are two different types, which is attended and unattended, for three different categories of tasks.
Yeah,
So
so
you already talked about two types of bots, which is attended and unattended. That's fine. But I was asking, what are the three different categories of tasks?
So that's what the categories are. You can categorize the automation what you have developed into two types, attended and unattended. That's what it says. There are not three, there are two kind of categories.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So basically it is two types, which is front office and back office. And two categories are attended and unattended.
Correct.
Gotcha.
I mean, where you can install the attended bots on the local workstation, that is while you are developing on your machine. And the other ones are once you complete the development, you can configure them on a virtual machine and you can configure them to run automatically using the scheduler option. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so to proceed, yeah, so we discussed about development methodologies. There are four distinctive stages while we are developing any process, okay, any particular automation process using this tool. So the first phase is assess, second one is approve, design and development, and implement, right? So these are the four main stages that is involved during the development methodology. Okay, these four stages are the main stages that we have to religiously follow when we are developing any automation using RPA tools. Okay, let's see each of these in detail. Okay, so first one is SS. So as the name suggests, it is very much self-explanatory, I guess, because we will, when the client has come to us with his requirement, the first thing that we have to do is to assess, right? So we have to investigate the process that we are going to automate, right? And we have to take a few decisions based on these points. Schedule, right? What is the schedule that is going to be in case we are going to automate this process? How long it is going to take? Okay, and what is the plan? What is the schedule for automating this process? So we have this kind of questions to be addressed in the assess phase. Degree of importance, it is not always that you have only one project at the time, right? You might have multiple requirements and you should be in a situation to judge the importance of automating the task, right? So you have to understand how much repetitive the task is going to be and what is the benefits of automating it and what is the importance of automating this, because what is the main advantage that we are gaining by automating this particular process. So the data type usage and the department it is related to. So what is the type of data that we are going to use? This you will understand once we use some of the activities inside the tool. Don't odd out, you will understand it clearly. Okay. So, and we also have to isolate the department that it is related to. So department in the sense if it is related to insurance company or if it is related to banking sector or some investment sector or health insurance. Okay, so that is the department that you should isolate. Okay, does, I mean, if it is, you know, completely a security related sector, for example, the aircrafts. Okay, so Boeing is one company which is using this RPA solutions. This is one company which recently started implementing their automations using RPA tools, and their main concern is security, right? So based on the company and its requirement, you should understand their main, main goal, like, you know, what is the degree of importance. Does there are, for someone security will be top notch hierarchy, right? They need security first, that should be addressed in a good way. For few people, I mean, for few websites, security and they need the repetitive tasks to be done faster and security can come a little later. So it depends upon the company and it depends upon the client requirements. Okay, so assess phase ends with an assessment of report that outlines the feasibility of RPA project more in detail. So you have to basically prepare the assessment report with all the details. Okay, I mean, we don't expect to keep all the details inside this assessment phase because it is just an initial phase. where we are just going through by investigating how we are going to do it, what actually it is and all. So we should prepare an assessment report, and we should see how feasible the solutions we can provide. And the next phase is approve. So it starts with approval of the process which is to be automated. So based on these assessment reports, we have to get the approval process from the higher management team. Okay. And it is followed by thorough investigation. So once we prepare this report, it should be investigated and we have to document. Okay, and after documentation, we design other process as part of the solution, which we will discuss in the next phase. Okay, so this phase ends with business case being presented to the management team. So we will prepare all the proper documents and the assessment report, and we will present it to the management team. So once we get the approval, then we have to start with the design phase. Okay. So when it comes to the design phase, we have to look which software vendor best fulfills the criteria outlined in the business case. See, this is something which is important to understand, um, uh, because depending on the requirement of the client, you should be in a position to suggest which tool is going to be helpful for them, right? And if the client is, they have already fixed in mind that they are going to use only this tool, then we don't have an option. But then we should be in a situation to suggest. I mean, again, it depends upon the experience levels. So there are different roles like technical architect, technical lead, and all. So if you are aiming for senior positions, then you should be able to understand differences between different vendors, that is BluePrism, UiPath, and Automation Anywhere, which are leading in the market now. So out of these three, again, BluePrism and UiPath are doing good. So once you have everything in place, the assessment report and the actual process, what you are going to automate, you should be in a situation to explain or to make others understand which software vendor you are going with. And you should tell them why we are not going with BluePrism or why we are not going with UiPath. And it all based on the requirements. It is not always that we go with BluePrism. It is not always that we go with UiPath. It all depends on the requirement. So you should be, based on the requirement, you should be able to understand which tool will be best suitable to automate that particular business case. Okay, so this is one important thing. And during this phase, we will design the robot with exact process which is outlined. We will design the bot here. Once we decide on the tool, we will design the bot, and we will also program it to scale the level of automation. We should also think about scalability of the process that we have developed. We use the concept of work queues, and we also will use the activities. We will create the process in such a way that you can reuse them in other processes or the workflows that we are designing, right? So you will understand these concepts when we are practically implementing some bots. Okay, so next is implementation phase. So process we design will be released into a working environment where it will just mimic the a human user. And once we design the bot, once it is error free, once you deploy the bots, business side is responsible of monitoring the bots, and they will handle the exceptions. Okay, so they will handle the exceptions themselves. And again, it depends upon the service legal agreements again, because sometimes client want the organization itself to give support, and sometimes business side itself will have a dedicated support team where they will monitor if there are any exceptions or errors when the deployed process is executing on their environment. Okay, so if there are any changes in the process, robots have to be programmed again. Okay, so because this is similar to the limitation that we have already discussed. So we have a limitation here, right? Limitation in the sense whenever there is a change in the UI, you have to reconfigure the bot. Okay, so business side in the sense the client for whom we have automated the solution, they themselves will take care about reprogramming the bots. And sometimes it could be like it depends on service legal agreements where we also should support at times. Business side does it themselves. Okay, so how to handle exceptions encountered in RPA. I think, yeah, before going into that, Vinay is having a few more questions. So each tool is going to be, yes, Vinay, the UI of the tool and the capabilities. See, all of these are RPA tools. The basic fundamental that it works on is same. The basic underlying concept or the languages they are developed on is .NET, both UiPath and BluePrism tools. Okay, so the underlying technology is going to be just similar, but the way we are automating and the way the tool capabilities has is little bit different. Okay, so you have a different way of automating the things using BluePrism, and in UiPath we have something else. Okay, so as and when we are seeing the practical examples, I will clearly tell you the differences. Okay, so at the
Okay.
end of today's session, I will give you the main differences. Okay, but when we implement the practicals, I will give clear idea on the exact differences. But today we will go on a very high level and we will see the main differences between these tools. Okay.
Okay, Priya. Thank you.
Yeah. So how to handle the exceptions encountered in RPA? So this is something which again you will get a clear understanding when we practically see it. Okay. So exceptions arise when dealing with software programs and should be handled properly. Right? Exceptions are inevitable in any process or any automation you take. There will be certainly exceptions. Right? Exceptions like warning messages or error messages. So but then you should be in a situation when you are developing those processes, you should handle them. You should not leave the exceptions. If you leave the exceptions, some error message will directly pop up on your screen, and at that time your bot doesn't know what to do, because it cannot make intelligence decisions. Say for example, if some error message is popping up on your screen and you have not handled it, and your bot will fail because it doesn't know that is something alien to it. Right, we have not instructed bot to identify that particular message and to click on OK button. We have not instructed it. So when you are developing itself, you have to proactively think what kind of exceptions you might face. Okay, and you should be able to handle them. Okay, and it is something that you have to develop, you have to implement while developing itself, while you are developing the process. Right, and it is going to help you to understand the problems. Okay, it will not give you problems at the end. You can identify the problems, and it is easy for you to debug them when you handle those exceptions properly. Okay, so in RPA there are two types of exceptions, actually three, but internal exception is something which you will get in any kind of automation tool. But the main categories are business exceptions and system exceptions. Let's see them in detail. So what are business exceptions? So these exceptions occur when the established rules are broken. Say, for example, you are doing an online transaction in the bank. Okay, there are different transactions, right? NEFT or IMPS or different transactions you have. And there are a set of rules that have been set in order to complete the transactions properly. And there is also a certain limit that you have to there is a certain limit of the amount that you can transact in a particular day. And once you reach that limit, it will generally give you a message that you have reached the maximum limit of transactions per day, right? So this is a kind of business exception. So to handle this, what you should know is, first thing is that you have to understand how the business rules are working. You should understand the business rules properly. Okay, you should have thorough understanding of how the process is being executed manually, and only then you will be able to understand how it works when there are no exceptions, and what to do when there are exceptions, and what kind of exceptions we might face, which means you also have to think about negative scenarios and you have to handle them. Okay, what if the transaction reaches maximum limit? What if there is a mistake in the account number or something? It will probably give you the error message. Then you have to make your process or bot click on OK, then come back to the previous page. It will automatically come back to the previous page anyway. Right, you should make your bot understand. You should also capture those exceptions. So only way to do is to reroute your process, right? you will have one workflow wherein everything goes smoothly. You will have one workflow. So whenever you think there will be an exception, you can reroute your process, and your process may not always follow simple linear path. It can go anywhere. It can have multiple, it can take multiple routes. Okay, so that is the one way of, that is the proper approach to handle the exceptions. Process that encounter business exceptions are rerouted. So in case that happens, take this path. In case it doesn't happen, go with your normal flow. That is something what we have to make the bot. That is something what we have to design the process in such a way. Okay. So there are another type of exceptions which are system exceptions. So system exceptions are something like, the application which you are trying to reach is not responding, or the application is crashing, or there are UI changes, etc. So these are some things which you cannot predict, right? Business exceptions are something because they are business rules. On what rules the business work. So yeah, you handled them, you implemented them properly. But system exceptions are really some exceptions which you will not be able to proactively handle them. You never know, right? When is your application going to crash, right? You never know when it crashes. So the only check you can do is, if your application is crashing, end the process. That's all you can do, right? So you have to properly show that message. You have to properly show that message, capture that message somewhere, and there is no point in proceeding with the workflow. Okay, so system exceptions, we cannot do much with the system exceptions except that we have to monitor them. Okay, we just have to monitor them. And in case of UI changes, you have to reconfigure the bots. Yeah. So these are two main categories of exceptions that you will encounter while developing the process. Okay, next thing is, how secure is RPA? Security is one important feature everyone or every other client emphasize on. They need their applications to be secure, right? Security is the main criteria, and basically when if it is a financial institution or any governance body and all, they really need security is their top priority, and we should understand how secure is RPA. Okay. So configuring the business automation will carry the risk of exploiting. See, any solution that you design, there will be some flaws which will exploit the there will be some risk involved in exploiting the security, right, or committing the human errors. So to prevent this security faults, we have rule RBAC, okay, which is rule based access control. Okay, RPA provides us RBAC control, rule based access, where we can configure the users based on the role, and we can limit the access of the tool only to a certain limit. Okay, so that is called as RBAC control, rule based access control. We can manage the users and the access we are providing them to access the tool itself. Okay, so that is one way the tool is been implemented, the security. And the another one is to secure your passwords, right? You will have to log into the target applications. So you have a common repository called credentials. You can store all your credentials inside this particular credentials, which is saved to the UiPath database itself. Okay, and they are encrypted with 256-bit AES algorithms, okay, which is a secure credentials. Okay, and actions by unauthorized roles are restricted, which means, again, which goes in line with RBAC control. So once you restrict the access to any person, he will not, or he or she will not be able to restrict that particular activity or that particular module inside the tool. So that is how RBAC is implemented. Okay, so role-based access is I have pretty much explained this already. So our role-based access is nothing but you will be regulating the access of the computer or a network to a particular person, or you can regulate the tool itself. It is not necessarily that everyone should have admin rights where they will be able to have the entire view about the tool or the automations you have developed. It's not like that. Depending on the user role, the users access will be restricted. That is role-based access control. So, okay, so example could be a developer who develops the process can be blocked from releasing. Okay, so there are two things, right? You will develop the process. Releasing is something which is not sole responsibility of yours. You will develop the process, you will debug it, you will make sure it is running fine. So release is something which is the responsibility of an architect or the analyst. They can take care of releasing. If release module access is given to everyone, there is no point, right? People may misuse it. So RBAC access control helps in restricting this particular access to different modules. So credential management is something which I have already spoken about. It is like a digital locker where we can share, where we can store the credentials. So we have another concept of orchestrator. Okay, in the UiPath, we have Orchestrator, which is nothing but the web services where you can manage the bots you have developed remotely. You will be given, it is a different license. UiPath is a different license and Credential is a different license. Okay, so Orchestrator is something that you will be able to manage the bots by remotely logging into the IP address. You will be given IP where you can just, it is kind of a web application itself. You can navigate there, you can manage your bots, you can run them. Okay, so that is the benefit of using Orchestrator. You can also trigger a job, you can also schedule it. These are all the options we have inside the orchestrator. So basically, UiPath has three kinds of modules. I mean, it differentiated. We can differentiate into three different things: UiPath Studio, UiPath Robot, and Orchestrator. We have three different things. So UiPath Studio is nothing but the place where you are developing the bots. Okay, where you are designing the workflow. Okay, and UiPath Robot, it is not separate installer or anything. Once you develop the process and once you start execution of the process, the UiPath robot will come up, okay, and it will start executing the processes, and that code is not visible. Okay, so it is something which is being secure and by the UiPath itself, and they are not exposing it anywhere. Okay, by automatically the robot will come and will execute the process that we have designed. And the next component of UiPath is Orchestrator, where you can remotely manage the bots or you can schedule the jobs using this orchestrator. Okay, so orchestrator is something which we will see at the end of the training. Okay, it is just another UI where you can manage the bots. Okay, it will come at very end of the training. Okay, so these are the basic things that you need to understand, I mean, before working on any of the RPA tools, right? I think Vinay has questions. Okay, fine.
Oh, no, actually, you answered it. Sorry.
No
It was a
problem.
premature question. So you got it. Thank you.
Sure. So that's all I have for this presentation. So right now and then we will go ahead with the tool. I will open the tool and I will show the user interface. I will just walk you through the tool. We will not see any technical details on the first day itself. We will just see the UI, the look and feel of the tool, right? And the different components, what you have to understand. And I will also show you how you can install the tool. By tomorrow's class, you can try to install it, and then we will see the practical scenarios from tomorrow. Once everyone are on the same pace, once all of you have the tool installed, only then it makes sense, right? So yeah, this is the UiPath icon, how it is being displayed. UI, this is the shortcut. So just click on this and it will open. Just give me a moment. Yeah, so this is how the tool looks like as soon as you open it. Okay, right? So this is the main page that you will see once you open the tool. So you have UiPath categorizes our workflows into 4 different categories. Okay, blank, simple process, agent process improvement, and robotic enterprise framework. Okay, so let's see each one of these in detail. Let me open one process. Okay, or I'll do it in another way. Let me create the process from the scratch, and then let's do it. I'll go to the start and create a blank process, okay, and give the name. Let me give it as demo. It is a blank project. The name itself says as clearly that it is a blank project. There is nothing here. It is blank project, and you can design your workflow from the scratch. Okay, it is a blank project. If there is nothing inside here, and these are all the options that are available. Okay, in UiPath you call each of this. You have UI automation, user events, orchestrator, system programming, and workflow. So these are the major categories that are available when you are trying to automate any task using this tool. Under UI automation you have so many other things like element, text, OCR. Okay, so what if you want to identify text elements? Okay, you have all the options under text like mouse, screen scraping, find. So for each of these I have slides. Okay, so we will see in detail about UI automation, which will take 3-4 days, and then user events 3-4 hours, and so on. We will see each of these in detail, what user automation does, what are the different options that we have under element and we have under text. They have categorized it in such a way that it is easy for us to understand. Okay, so we can easily navigate. If that is something related to UI automation, you just have to check under this category. If it is something related to programming, you have to select under this. Something related to system, you have to select this. We will see all of these in detail, but these are the main categories you have inside the tool. Okay, so and these are all called as activities, right? So in generally you will call in BluePrism you call each of the toolbar as a stage, right? Page stage, link stage, pointer stage, and so on. But in UiPath it is, they are all called as activities. There are about 250 to 300 activities. Okay, there are so many activities. Okay, but we will not be able to cover all of them in the during the training, because 300 activities are very difficult to complete. I mean, but we will see the activities which are very important and which are very different to use. Okay, the complex ones we will be seeing, and I will give you a brief idea on how you can use the other simple ones. Okay, so we will make sure that you know, or you will be able to implement all the activities. Even though we are not seeing everything practically, you will be in a situation to use them. You can understand how you can use them. Okay, so you just have to drag and drop the activity here. Drag and drop. These are all called as activities. Okay, I'm not going deep into how you can use these activities or usage of them. Just understand the terminology. These are called as activities. There are about 300 activities inside the UiPath tool. Okay, so this is the blank project where you can create your process from the scratch, and we will be mostly creating our workflows inside the blank project only, because I want you to understand each and every project from the scratch. Okay, so and this is called as this particular entire space is called as ribbon. Okay, this entire space is called as ribbon, and this is again, when you go to start page, you are seeing 4 different projects, right? Blank, simple, agent, process improvement, and robotic enterprise process. So similarly, when you go to this design also, and when you click on new, you will see the same things: sequence, flowchart, and state machine. You can again create a process inside this blank project. Okay, you can create a sequence, which we will discuss detail in later in our as we proceed further. So you this entire space is called as ribbon. You can create the new file from here. You once you design it, you can save it. This is the run button. Once you are done with your development, you can just try to run the workflow, and you can check if there are any errors or not. And you have the option of recording, right? So recording is something which is missing in the BluePrism tool. So this is the main difference. You don't have recorder in BluePrism. You have to manually identify each and every element. Okay, but in case of UiPath, you have the concept of recording. Okay, what recording does is, it once you start the recording, it will just identify, or it will record the user events, whatever you are doing. If you are doing a click, or if you are navigating somewhere, see, for example, if you browse to gmail.com, then type in your username, password, and other things, it will record the entire sequence. So you can think of it like, recording a song and then playing it. It is just going to be similar, right? So rather than identifying each and every element in a very hard way using identification tools in BluePrism, you can simply record it. Okay, and it will identify the elements, and then you can make changes to the elements it has identified. But then we are not going to see our examples with recorder. Okay, we will just see the option of recording later, because you should understand for what kind of element, what kind of activities that you should do. Recording usage is simple, but then it is not suggested for learning purpose. You have to understand each activity that you have to use to identify any element or to do any particular job. Okay, we will see recorder, we will not use it for everything that we do. Okay, so we have screen scraping and data scraping. Okay, so scraping is nothing but it will extract the data from the application. So whatever application you are using, they will help us in extracting the data. You screen scraping and data scraping. So screen scraping will help us. You have sorry. Okay, so it has selected the screen scraping. So we have two types of scraping, for structured data and for unstructured data. So structured data is nothing but your web applications where your data is in a very structured format. So unstructured data is really like your printouts, the scanned copies of PDF, or the text which is not in a proper structured way. So there is a you should also try to identify those things, right? It might be order sales, order details or invoices details, which might not be always in a structured format. And sometimes companies receive invoices in email, right? They are just the screen copies, they are not like structured data. So to extract the data from those unstructured data, you will use data scraping or screen scraping. Okay, so for that reason you have two different scraping techniques. Okay, and then you have user events, which I will explain shortly. And create variable is nothing but it will create a variable for you where you can store the values inside them. Okay, this is create variable and manage variable. And selectors is another important thing in UiPath Studio. Selectors are nothing but which will help us to identify different elements that we have inside the applications. Okay, so selectors is something which will help us in identifying those elements. Okay, by making use of this UI Explorer and selectors only, your bot is going to identify the elements. In BluePrism, we have application modeler, right? So in UiPath, we have selectors, UI Explorer selectors, right? So another difference is we don't have scraping techniques in BluePrism tool. Okay, we don't have recorder, we don't have scraping. So everything is hard way. You have to do it in hard way in BluePrism. You have to manually scrape the data. You have to use the region mode to scrape the data. You can't do it very easily in the BluePrism tool. Okay, so that are these are the main differences between UiPath and BluePrism. And the another path is here, everything is called as activities. Okay, and in BluePrism, everything are called as stages. Okay, and you have application modeler where you can use spying techniques to identify the elements. But here it is simple that you have to just identify. Just a moment. Let us use text. Just a moment. Okay, indicate on screen. It is asking to indicate on screen. We have to open the application and we just have to indicate on the screen. We don't have different modes of identification like we have in the BluePrism tool. That is another difference. We have different modes of identification and spying techniques, but here it is not like that. Everything works by indicating directly on the screen. Okay, and it will be able to identify those elements, right? Yep. Okay, so this is the main page, and in the design, this is what we have inside the design. And in the start, these are the main projects we spoke about. Blank, I'll come back to simple assistant and this enterprise framework later on. Before that, let us also see execute. So in execute, we have run. You can also run the process from design itself once you develop it. And in execute also, you can run from here as well. Okay, both the places it does the same job. Once the process is executing, you can stop it. This is the option which you will use for debug. See, here I'm just orally explaining, but we will see all of these practically. I'm just trying to give you, explain, or walk you through different options that we have in the tool. But don't think, or I mean, don't nod out and then struggle yourself to getting into too much in detail, because we will slowly see each of these options. Validate will help us to validate if we have any issues inside the tool. And breakpoint, it will help us the process to stop in between, just like applying the brakes when you are driving. Okay, it is just similar to that, where if the process execution will come to a pause, and you can debug if there are any issues in that. You can use this debug option then. Okay, this step into, we will see practically. Slow step, which will make your process execution go very slowly, and these are logs where your logs are saved. Okay, so setup. Okay, so once you publish option is used, once you develop everything, once you have validated, once there are no errors, you can publish that process. So once you publish, they will be visible in the orchestrator. Okay, we will see about orchestrator later. Only if you publish, you can use them, or you can schedule them in the orchestrator. Until you publish them, they will not be visible in the orchestrator. So setup extensions. So in order to allow UiPath work on these browsers, you have to set up the extensions on the browsers. Okay, if you are using Chrome, you can set up the extension there, Firefox, Java, and Silverlight. So this will help us. No, I don't want to do it. It will reset settings, will help you to reset the settings, whatever you have made, to the default settings. Okay, so these are the 4 main tabs that you have inside the UiPath Studio. Okay, so then let's talk about simple process. Okay, simple process. So I'm opening the same file, which is called demo. Okay, and let me go to design phase, and let me create a new flowchart, simple, which is a simple process. I'll give name as demo 2. Okay, so this comes with the start activity. Okay, this workflow comes with start activity, which is nothing but this simple process. Okay, because if you see here, the diagram is looking like a flow chart where you have a decision stage. This is a decision where you can control the workflow, and you can route them through 2 different directions. That is the flow chart, which will help you to take the decisions of the workflow, what if yes or no kind of decisions, or you can route the process workflow to 2 different activities depending upon the task. And next one is assistant, agent process improvement. So what agent process improvement does is, it will it will help you to create the short keys. Okay, say for example, if you want to find out the time, if you want to do it every day, rather than the triggering the process, rather than going manually to the place where you have designed the process and triggering it, you can create the short key. Okay, say for example, you can create a customized short key to trigger the workflows that you have designed. Okay, say for example, you have designed the process to find out the time, date, and location every day. Every day you have to do this. Rather than triggering the process, you can create a customized key for that. You can simply say Control T. Okay, once you press Control T, that job will be triggered for you. Okay, so we will see this also with an example and with proper slides. Okay, and I have a presentation for this, and we also will see different activities that involved to create such processes. Okay, and enterprise framework. So basically this is also called as state machines. Okay, so when you have a very large workflow to be created for a particular solution, then you will use this robotic enterprise framework, okay, for large scale deployments. Okay, but most of the times we will be using simple agent. We will also use framework, but when we have only large scale deployments to be done. Okay, and it basically works on transitions. Okay, it basically works on transitions, which means it will not step into the next workflow until it completes the previous stage, because in the next stage there is a dependency of the previous workflow. Okay, it mainly depends upon the transition. The workflow will not get transition to the next activity until it completes the previous one. Okay, so if you have such conditions, such use cases, then you will create your process as an enterprise framework. Okay, so it has to complete that, and only then it will step into the next workflow activities. Okay, say for example your bank, you should log in with, the proper credentials. You have to also select the secure images whatever you have selected. Okay, only then it should go to the next phase. Okay, you should have proper everything completed in the previous, only then it will transit to the next workflows in your process. Okay, in such stages, when it requires some transitions between one stage to another stage, mainly based upon the decisions which we have taken on the previous stage, that is when you will create the process as enterprise framework. We will also see examples for this. Okay, so this is very high level understanding of the tool, the main components that we have inside the UiPath. And the other important thing is activities. Okay, so these are the activities. Okay, we have these are all, everything is called as an activity. So it is click activity, it is double click activity, hover, and under keyboard we have send hotkey. These are all called as activities. Okay, so they have categorized these activities into different options so that it is easy for us to navigate to those particular options. Okay, otherwise if they have given all those 250, 300 activities, they keep adding the activities, so I don't have the exact count of the activities. It should be somewhere between 250 to 280. Okay, so they have categorized in such a neat way that if you want to do some file operations which are related to system, you can navigate to system, file, and you can select this, and you can ask me the question, how will I know what kind of activities we have, and how will I know under which of these available options we have that activity, right? It is difficult to figure out now because you are very new to the tool and you don't know what activities you have. Okay, and as you practice, once you get good hands-on on the tool, and as you keep practicing, and as you start thinking how to automate any process, you can search for the activities here. If you want to search for click and check if you have any activity which is related to the click. Now every other possible option is being displayed here: click, double click, click OCR, and so many other things which is related to click is being given here. So that is something which you will understand once you get used to the tool, once you get the experience. Okay, you cannot really understand all the activities, or you cannot really remember all the activities. Experience is something which is needed to know and to understand which activity can be used where. Okay, so this is manage packages. Okay, so packages, these are all packages, UI automations, and once you open the packages, it has all these are all UiPath core activities. Okay, just it will take some time. So these are all the activities packages that we have inside the tool. Okay, you don't have to install all the packages, it will slow down the execution process. You can install them or activate them on need basis. Say for example, if you want to work with Excel, you have to install this package. If you want to store any file in Excel, or if you want to read the data from Excel, you have to install this package. If you're working with the databases, you have to install this. I spoke about credential manager, right? If you are using any activities which is related to credential, you have to install this. Only then that will work. Okay, so I have installed the core activities only right now. For now, I have not installed any other. Cognitive activities are nothing but OCRs, like optical character recognitions, which are mainly where you can identify text which is on an image or the image itself. It will be able to read that data, okay, which is image or which are just the screenshots. It can read that. Okay, if you want to use mail activities, if you want to send an email or if you want to read an email, if you want to send some attachments, then you have to install this package. Only then all the activities that are related to mail will be work. Only then they will work, otherwise they will not. The first thing is to install the packages. Okay, you can install them on need basis. Okay, and yes. This will expand all the activities, this will collapse all the activities, this will reset, and it will show the activities, and this is manage package. Okay, so mail, I have not installed, right? Okay, so we will see each of this in detail. I have categorized the training in such a way that first we will cover some basics. Tomorrow we will cover the basic concepts and the basic programmings, like how to use if else, for each loops, or while, do while. Okay, we will cover the basic concepts in tomorrow's, and another one more class. I think it will take 2 classes. Tomorrow 2 hours, and we may have to spend another day also. So where I will be talking about very basic concepts of the UiPath, how to use activities, and how you can create the customized short key, which is user event. Okay, customized shortcut you can use to trigger the workflow. That we will something which we will see later on. We will see the file operations, right? This file operations, how we can create a file or how we can copy a file. Okay, these are basic ones to get you used to the UI. These things will help. Okay, the basic things, and then we will see the usage of if loop. If else, and do while and while loop. Okay, because these do while and while loops, we will use it in the other workflows that we create later on. Okay, because if you know this concept, then we can implement it on the another big processes that we are going to execute. Okay, so that is my intention. So if you know how do while and while work separately, then you can implement it along other activities also. So those are some things which you need to know before we actually implement the entire workflow. So that's the plan for tomorrow's class. And after that, we will go through each of these particular activities. Okay, so I will start UI automation. I have a presentation for this, which has all the details about these options, elements. All I have specified all the elements there. Okay, I have given one line meaning of what that activity does. Okay, there are many activities. Okay, and we will see the important ones. We will see the important activities and where the usage is quite different. Okay, if you understand that, the other ones is going to be just similar or simple. Okay, so that's the plan. And once we are done with user UI automation, then we will see programming or system. Okay, and so on. So each of this we will deal. We will start with UI automation, and then we will see how it goes, how long it is going to take. It might take 3 days, 3 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, or 4 hours. It depends. It depends on how interactive we are going to be. Right, so that's the plan. So I have totally 4 or 5 presentations which will cover all of this in detail. And as and when we complete each of these activities, I will share the presentation slides to you. Okay, so that's all I have for today. And I also will show you how you can install the tool. Before that, let me answer the questions.
Priya, there are some questions in the chat.
Yes, that's what I'm looking at. do you have slide that shows the differences between UI and BP? So Vinay, I don't have a separate slide to show the differences between UiPath and BluePrism. But if you want, I can write a short note and share it with you guys. Okay, maybe I'll take a day or two for that, and I will send it across. Okay.
That will be great. Thank you.
Yeah. So do we need to buy credential managers separately? No, you don't have to buy credential managers separately. Okay, so you have to buy UiPath Studio and Orchestrator separately. Studio comes with robot, where they will not expose any code of it. It will come execute the process and it will just stop. It will just close by itself. Okay, like another task, it will pop up. And when it comes to Orchestrator, that is a separate license which you have to buy. UiPath Studio comes with UiPath Studio and robot, and Orchestrator you have to buy a separate license. Okay, and but then you don't have to worry about buying any of these licenses, because UiPath is being very generous, and they are giving the community edition for free, including the Orchestrator. Okay, so where you can use it for a month. They will say it for a month, but they will extend the validity up to an year also. You just have to keep writing an email to them. Once you find out, once one fine day, if you lost the access, if you just write to the UiPath service, they will customer care, they will definitely, or they will immediately give you the access. They will extend the validity of the community edition. So community edition is just going to be similar to the licensed version. Okay, you can do anything and everything. Okay, you can do everything just like how a normal organization works. Orchestrator is also available, but I would not say Orchestrator is completely available for free usage, but we can definitely learn from it. Okay, and we should not be misusing this community edition. These are mainly meant for learning purpose. We cannot use it for creating the projects. It is mainly meant for learning and POC purpose. Okay, so these are the yeah. So everything will be open. They will not restrict you access to any of these options inside the UI. Orchestrator is also visible. Okay. Yeah, so what are the other questions? So differences, I said I will give the note, but definitely I'll take a day or two for that. I think I may not be able to send it right today. Yeah. So do we need to buy? Okay, I answered that question. Does all the packages? See, if all the packages are available in the purchase, but you don't have to purchase it for learning practice. Even in the community edition, all the packages are available. And Nagendra, what are the types of applications supported by UiPath? Are there any limitations in terms of application? So you can automate Windows applications, Java, mainframe applications, and Citrix environments. Citrix environments are VM. Okay, you can also automate Citrix environments. I will show you how you can automate it. Okay, we will see it in the training how you can automate Citrix applications as well. Citrix applications are nothing but VMs, right? Virtual machines. We will see how we can automate it. There are activities for that as well. And will you be sharing software and license, right? No, actually, I don't have to share the software and license with you. It is free of cost. UiPath has the community edition where you can install it by yourself. It comes with instructions as well, and it is very simple to install it. I will show you how you can install it and where you can do it. Since we have class only during the weekend, how do we communicate our questions during share your email ID? Yes, I'll share my email ID and my phone number as well. That's my email ID and my phone number. You can make a note of it and you can ping me anytime, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible to answer your queries. Okay. So I think I've answered all the questions that are there in the chat window till now. So any other questions for me apart from that? And another thing.
I have one question, Priya. I have one question. You might touch base upon this. I'll ask you anyway. Like you were talking about the recording, right? My understanding of recording is, as you define these steps, or as you define this, I might not be using the right term, like activities. Is that not the one you record it and you play it over and over to do the repetitive task? Is that what is recording used for?
You will use the activities manually, right? When you are automating it, you have to understand what activities you have, and you will drag and drop them to understand the functionality of the tool. What recording does
Right.
is it will also record using the same activities. It will take the activities by itself and create the workflow for you. Okay, so yeah, that's the difference. You can modify that later and it will just play for you again. Simply, I
Oh,
mean,
it is
it
like a
asks you.
macro you're talking about. Recording is like a macro, maybe.
Correct. I don't know,
Okay.
in-depth technical details about macro, but I think it is also like a recording option, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, so it is like it will capture the user events. It will capture whatever we are doing on the application, and it will create the workflow for you using the activities. Okay, the activities. See, if you are doing a click activity will be shown here, right? If you are using a click activity, if you're doing a click on that, once you start recording, and if you're clicking on any element, we are dragging and dropping click activity here manually, and we will do whatever we are supposed to do. If you want to click, recorder also does the same thing. It will also use the click activity only to do that job, but it will record the sequences whatever we are doing. But it is not a good way to learn the tool. You can use it, but for learning purposes, you don't have to go to the recording. You have to understand the activities and you have to manually use them to get good expertise on the tool. Okay. And yes, good question, Nagendra. We have different types of recordings available: basic, desktop, web, and Citrix. We will see them in detail. We will use each of these options. Okay. Yeah. So, but then recording will help you sometimes. If you really don't know, if there is some complex element that you are not that you are not understanding how to, identify it, or which activity you have to use it. In such cases, you can use recording, and it will by default come with that activity. Then you can, okay, understand, oh, okay, this is the activity that will be used in such cases. Then that is the way you have to use when you are learning it, but you don't have to depend on recording every time. I hope you understood, right? I mean, what I'm trying to tell you. I think I not confused you. So any other questions? Vinay and Nagendra, any questions? Yeah. Okay.
No, I think it was a good session. Like, thank you for your time. I personally felt it was a bit fast.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I'm slow this morning. I don't know.
Okay, I'll
If
try
we can
to.
pace it a little bit, that would be great. Yeah.
Okay, see, the thing is, I give repetitive sessions, right? So I obviously tend to go a little bit faster.
Correct.
And sometimes, and sometimes I will try to slow down myself, but then again, it continues. But definitely, I'll take this feedback. But then you don't have to worry. When we are practicing, right? Definitely, I will
Right.
also take some time to show you, right? It will go slowly only. Today, I am doing more of talking, less of practicing, so it is a bit faster. But when we are doing practical examples, I also have to practically show you from the scratch. I have to drag and drop the activity, then I have to select different things on the application. So it will not be fast. Don't have to worry.
Yeah, because I attended your first introductory session on BluePrism on 19th March in the evening.
Mhm.
The only reason I'm attending weekends, I requested Narendra to do a weekend session because I cannot do during the weekdays. But 19th March session, you were excellent paced. Your pace was very good, and it did not feel too fast for me. Today it felt really fast, maybe because I thought you might want to catch a movie in the night. That's okay.
No, I don't have any plans tonight. Yeah.
All right.
It's almost 8:30 here, so I don't have any.
Maybe a late night movie.
No, nothing like that. But then because that's the only reason I'm doing more of a talking, right? So that's why I tend to go a little bit faster. But then when I'm showing you the practical examples, I also have to do work. I also have to drag and drop multiple activities and show it to you practically. Then I think you will feel it slow. Okay, and I'll definitely.
Thank you.
But you are able to understand, right? I mean.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, see, what happens is, when I'm talking to my colleagues in America, in the past they used to tell me, Vinay, you talk too fast, right? Then I'm like, okay, I pace down. Probably I'm feeling the same now because I've gone past that fast pace.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you can.
That's okay. If you can pace a little bit and take a break, that will help us to understand and digest, because you know this subject so well. You go fast, but for us, we have to think it through what you're saying, and we have to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that, Vinay. I will definitely take this feedback. Today it's because there is a lot of theory. That's why it is like that. But from tomorrow again, we will discuss the same things. We will go through each and every user interface of the tool, and we will see it practically, and it will be definitely slow.
Okay, and you will help us to install this UiPath, correct? So because we don't have to be ready for tomorrow by installing UiPath by ourselves.
No. You can install. It's very easy. That's what I'm going to show you. If you need help, you can. If you need help, you can definitely get back to me on this. See, this is the place where you have to go. uipath.com/community. Okay. So here you have to register yourself to get the community edition. See, they say it's free, fully featured and extensible, a tool that works for you, which is like it is fully featured. You will get all the features of the tool with the community edition. So you just have to click on this get community edition, and it will ask you to give the details. You have to register yourself with your email ID and other things. Okay, just give me a second. Oh, it's not working. Okay, so once you click on get community edition, it will ask you for the details. You have to fill in this first name, your last name, email ID. You can give your Gmail ID as well, and these are self-explanatory options that you have to provide. Okay, and once you provide all these details, and once you click on request community edition, you will get an email. Okay, so you will get an email with the link where you have to just click on that link, and it will automatically trigger the installation. You don't have to, you just click on that link and follow the instructions. That's it. It is as simple as that. You don't have to worry about database installation. Nothing. Just register yourself, get the community edition, but make sure that you are checking promotions also. Okay, under promotions also, please check your email. It will not directly come to your inbox sometimes. Check your spam, promotions, all emails, different folders, mainly promotion folder. Sometimes it will come to your promotion folder. There will be a link inside that, and you just click on that link. Okay, and it will guide you to the installation. There is no guide also. Once you click on that, it will download the setup, and then once it is downloaded, you have to install it. That's it. It is very simple.
Okay, thank you. Is there any PDF documentation on this? Not on the installation, but the entire UiPath.
PDF documentation, no, you can just go through this RPA platform itself and you will get to know about Studio, Robot, Orchestrator. Anyway, we will cover that in the training, so you don't have to worry, and
Okay.
I will give you all the presentations, all the required presentations. Okay?
Okay,
So
thank
try to just register yourself and request the community edition. Installing is going to be very simple. You just have to click on the link. It will get downloaded. Then double click on the downloaded file and it will start installing. That's it. It will take hardly 15-20 minutes. Okay. So
Okay,
try to
thank you.
install it. And in case if you have any problems during installation, do let me know. Okay. Anything else?
Not from me, thank you.